So continuing with project one, we're going to be talking about user data. What is user data? User data is a method in which a lot of people use for automation. So instead of running the commands that we did earlier, such as like yum, install, httpd, or httpd, what it does is that you can tell it, hey, run these commands. So when you boot up, please run these commands so I don't have to run them. And this is something that's very commonly used in a lot of IT businesses. I mean, when you can automate things to do things for you, we don't have less people having touching, in a sense, access computers touching things where they can easily screw up. You can just tell the computer, hey, please run these commands, and that's it. And the good part about this is that when you have the setting set to say, hey, please install this web server and run it, if I were to launch 100 of these machines, it automatically does it for you. So imagine if you have to launch 100 machines and you have to set them up using that web server. That's a lot of time being consumed just to SSH into each machine. That'll take me about 30 seconds, 1 minute if you're really fast enough. But times that by 100, that's 100 minutes. But if we can automate that on a boot up, then that makes this job much easier. And that's what user data does as far as AWS side, where you can provide the commands, and with those commands, when the machine boots up, it will run those commands for you on your behalf. So it will set that up for you. So in this case, in the next video, we're going to show you is how to use user data. What are the commands to put in, and a good example of how we get this web server up and running. So it's gonna be really fun to do, where you never even have to touch the terminal. You can do everything on AWS's GUI and see your results. Hello. So today we're just going to learn how to automatically have the server launch the Apache web server, so you don't have to go in, SSH into the machine, and have the web server running. So what we're going to do is, you can ignore this. I was playing around with some action items here, but what we're going to do is the following. Going to launch instance. We're going to say web server, Amazon Linux. We're going to select the free instance type. We're going to select the private key, which is web server. We're going to allow SSH, and we're going to allow HTTP, which is on port 80. Now we're going to the advanced details. Now here, what we're going to do is we're going to run our commands like we previously did. So what we're going to do is do bin bash. And this kind of tells it like, hey, run the commands that we did earlier when we SSH into the machine. So what we're going to do is we're going to do yum install httpd -y. The reason you -y is because when you do yum install http, it's going to ask you if you want to install it, yes or no. Now, because of that prompt, we have to do -y to tell it, yes, please install it. After that, we're going to start the server, the web server. So we're going to do is systemctl start httpd. So when we do this, we're telling the computer, hey, run bash, please install HTTP, because I said yes. And after that, it's saying, hey, please start the web server. So let's go ahead and launch the instance. There we go. Now let's take a look at this. Let me see if I can say what's running. No, that's fine. So we're gonna wait here for a quick second while everything's booting up. At this time, you may be wondering, okay, what's going on when this server is booting up? So we can take a quick look here at one of the old ones, hopefully. Let's see here, get system log. So when the computer boots up, it does all these magical things on the back end. And with that being said, if we look at the system log, you're going to see that every second there's something ongoing. So this is within 2 seconds of the computer booting up. It's going to do a couple things within the system itself. So right here is what system D is running. PAM audit SE Linux is looks like setting up. That's computer jargon there. This is hey, welcome to Amazon Linux 2. No host name's configured. Then it's gonna set the host name. So there's a lot of things going on here. This is, I would say, mumbo jumbo at the moment for you. This is more of low level stuff that once you become, for example, a Linux admin, this all makes sense to you in the future. So let's keep scrolling, You're gonna see welcome to Amazon Linux, and basically this is what happens before the computer is up and ready for you. So now that the computer is up and running, let's go and take a look at the server. Let's see if the commands that we provided worked. So let's go here, type in the IP address, press enter. Boom, look at that. Instead of us SSHing to the machine running the commands, we said, hey, run it remotely. And it did that here by itself. So one of the things that people do nowadays is they automate this stuff. And whenever you automate, you either pass commands like we did here via Userdata, say, hey, please install this and do this, etc. Or what they do is they have computers that have this pre-built already, and they make the computer, and it launches as many times as they want, but they're all considered the same, and that's what sometimes they call a golden image, where when you launch an instance or server itself, it already has everything pre-programmed and ready for you no matter what. So think of it like a factory that says, hey, we have the blueprints for this computer, build it. Always keep building it. So if you launch 100 of these machines, they will all have the same thing. So that's just a quick introduction of like how you can automate some of these commands without even accessing SSH.